Welcome back, everybody. James Pfeiffer with ACCU, and a quick disclosure on this one. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. And with that, let's go ahead and get directly into the video. Many of you may not remember, but I did a video back in January of 2020 about COVID. At the time, most people thought that I should be wearing a tinfoil hat. There was no way that a virus an ocean away would come to the US. And then it did. When that reality hit, I was invited to speak at a CAI event, online of course, because COVID, about the economic outlook. And I gave a fresh overview about a fiat monetary system and how that impacts an economy. I raised alarm bells about how the US government was overprinting money. And again, I was met with skepticism. I wasn't being dramatic. I was just reading the writing on the wall. A few weeks later, an economist gave a follow-up presentation and said, "Don't worry, everything's under control." Their message directly contradicted mine and essentially discredited what I had said. But here we are now, 2025. Bank failures, persistent inflation, sky-high insurance premiums, raising delinquencies. What I had said in 2020 didn't just age well, it stood the test of time. Back then, I warned that US policy decisions were creating more money than had ever existed before. I was talking about insurance costs spiking, maintenance and repair costs blowing through budgets, and inflation impacting every company, household, and HOA. And as predicted, trillions of dollars flooded the system. Stimulus checks, bond buybacks, zero interest borrowing. I wasn't fear-mongering. I was trying to prepare our industry for what was coming. Some people heard it, most didn't. The experts were louder, so I got handed yet another tinfoil hat. But here's the truth. That kind of money doesn't come without a cost. Since I gave that presentation, we have watched the cost of living explode. Median home prices jumping over 27%. Insurance premiums for HOAs doubled if you're lucky, sometimes going up as much as 1,000%. Vendor pricing has skyrocketed. Fuel, labor, materials, everything has gone up. And HOAs already operating on thin margins weren't ready, and it didn't have to be this way. We owed it to our industry during that time to prepare our boards and our clients for the inevitable. And that's what I was essentially trying to do back then. So let's go ahead and break it down. Today, HOAs are struggling to keep up with the reserve funds. Construction inflations are crushing projections. We're seeing rising delinquencies, homeowners choosing between their mortgage, utilities, and dues, facing insurance non-renewals or massive rate hikes. Associations are delaying repairs, cutting services, and raising dues all at once, and now contending with bad legislation like Senate Bill 1233. And yet many boards are still using 2019 assumptions while the economy has radically changed. And these challenges, they're not just domestic. The US dollar's dominance as the world reserve currency is currently under pressure. If you haven't heard of the BRICS nations before, it's a collection of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They're actively seeking alternatives to the dollar. Their goal, reduce reliance on the US financial system. This could reshape global trade and not in our favor. And then there's Moody's, which just downgraded the US credit rating from a AAA to a AA1 in May of this year. Why? Growing debt and fiscal instability. And just recently, a $16 billion treasury sale had almost no outside buyers. The government had to buy nearly all of its own debt to stabilize the market. That's not good. All of this points to one conclusion. The system's under pressure, and it's time for bold thinking. So where do we go from here? HOAs must become financially resilient and strategic. That means updating reserve studies to reflect real-world costs, creating flexible budgets that can absorb shocks, because we all know that that's happening, exploring alternative insurance models, leveraging technology and transparency to cut waste. This isn't about landscaping anymore. It's about preserving community stability in an unstable world. This is going to be a bold call to action, but here we go. Back in 2020, I said what most people weren't willing to. So today, now in 2025, here I go, doubling down. And so for this video, my brand new tinfoil hat, I've got another bold recommendation, which of course will probably go unnoticed until I make another video 5 years from now in 2030. And if you know me since 2015, you know I've had strong confidence in Bitcoin. That's right. Yep, I said it. I probably just lost half the audience, but let me explain why. The US dollar is a melting ice cube. Money saved in almost any form is not keeping up with true inflation. Since 2013, the dollar has lost over 95% of its purchasing power. That's a lot. And just from 2019 to 2025, it's down another 20 to 25%. That 7% return you think you're earning, it's not keeping your community ahead. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset of the 21st century. It has roughly gained 6.8 billion% since 2009. A mere $100 investment in 2009 would be worth 6.8 billion today. So it's no surprise that BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase, MicroStrategy, even Apple, which quietly embedded the Bitcoin white paper on every MacBook, is now pouring money into Bitcoin. There are countries like El Salvador, the Central African Republic have made it legal tender. And in the United States, states like Colorado, Texas, Wyoming, Arizona, and New Hampshire are all actively supporting a Bitcoin policy. Here in Colorado even lets you pay your taxes in Bitcoin through PayPal. Now we have the President of the United States signing an executive order to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve and calling America the Bitcoin capital of the world. And while I'm going through the breadth of the Trump family, Eric and Donald Trump Jr., they've launched a Bitcoin mining company called American Bitcoin. The writing's on the wall again. So to recommend that an HOA put association funds into Bitcoin is admittedly too early, which is exactly why those who act first will benefit the most. Yes, Bitcoin is volatile. Yes, it takes an iron stomach, but diamond hands to win the long game. This is not about altcoins. This is about resilience, about positioning your community for the future. If you want to hear more about how a Bitcoin reserve strategy can help a community borrow against itself in the future, leave a comment below. Or if you'd like to join me on this channel to talk about strategy, about the best ways to service our community, let's collaborate. So, thank you for listening. If you're a board member, a manager, or a vendor, this is your call to action. It is time to think bigger and prepare better. Let's lead the future of community living. So with that, my name is James Pfeiffer. I am with ACCU, and until next time, I look forward to bringing you additional educational content. Look forward to talking to you then. Take care.